Hi everybody, and here we go again. We are ready for recipe number 2 from the tenderloin steak that we cut. So the first recipe was the steak with potato hash. Okay, now I'm gonna make, since it's hot, it's summer, I wanna make what every Latin kid has to eat or drink growing up when it was hot, soup. So I'm gonna make take some of the steak from that I cut, and I'm gonna make a soup out of it. I'm also gonna add rice. Now the rice, I'll cook it separately, but you will see how I do it. Now this is a sort of a Guatemalan recipe, una receta chapina. Hopefully I'm not missing anything, and if I am, then my relatives and my friends in Guatemala will tell me what I'm missing. So what I have here is, I want to say cauliflower, but no, it's cabbage, onion, celery, carrot, this green onion as well, zucchini. This one we call it, this is I guess squash, but we call it whiskey where I come from. Obviously, land of corn, so we have to have corn. And sometimes you have a choice of doing cilantro or doing it with mint, although I tend to use mint when I do a chicken soup. For the rice, all I need is the rice, 2 cups, maybe 1.5 tomatoes that you can see right here, and obviously garlic. And I'm gonna use some of the shredding of the carrot for the rice. Sometimes I like to use bell peppers, green peppers, yellow peppers for the rice. This time I'm not, but this is it. It's a very simple recipe. It's a quick recipe. You put everything, and that's it. Okay, so here we are. I got some oil, probably a third of a cup, maybe a little less of regular oil. Now that it's hot, okay, I'm gonna add the first. I take the meat, okay, and I seasoned it with plenty of pepper and salt. So I'm going to get the juices out of the meat. So you can hear it's hot, and that's what you want. That's gonna seal. Okay. Now this is all the meat from the cut that I made. The one thing that I forgot to get from the market, and they'll give it to you for free, is bones. If you go to a Latino market, Northgate or the other ones, I go to Northgate, you can ask for huesos, bones, and they'll give them to you for free. Get to know your butcher, okay? Of course, Costco is not going to do that. Okay? So here we have, and while that's happening, what I did is off camera, I cut about 1.5 onions here. Okay, and the green part is green onion. And then carrots, I have about 2 carrots or so. And I have 3 stalks of celery. They're gonna go in there in a minute. So I'm gonna get a pot so I can pour the meat. I can take it out and leave it there while I saute the onions and the trinity. So by now you should know what a trinity is. Carrots, celery, and onions. In other parts, for example in New Orleans, it's actually I think onions, carrot, and bell peppers. Okay, so now it's releasing the water. The meat is releasing the water, so all that sizzling, part of it will stop for a little, but it's still cooking, so you want to leave it there, okay? And then with the steam and everything, the water is going to evaporate, and then it'll go back to browning the meat. I think that's the technical cooking term. I need this plate, and that's where I'm going to put the meat. But again, it's not ready yet. And for this, you can get actually the cheapest cut of meat, just because it's gonna be in the water for a while, meaning in the soup. Caldo, which also happens to be hot in Italian. That's what it means, caldo. Maybe that's why the Italians may have gotten the word, or to my Italian friends who are watching, maybe we got the word, or it comes from Latin, right? So, but here we have. So the sizzling kind of stopped. That's okay. You know, just I'm gonna leave it alone for a bit. Go ahead and take a break and learn about the word caldo if you want. So let's take this out right now. And it looks like the fat from the meat, the oil, is fine. Now, to scrape all little pieces of the meat, yeah, it's a lot of meat, way too much. Somebody's gonna be getting soup, one of my neighbors probably. But one thing that here in the house, whenever I make Caldo De Res, so you know, beef soup, kids don't really eat the meat. They like the flavor, the vegetables, everything else, which I'm glad. So whenever you get brown pieces, bits and pieces, you have two choices. You can just add the onion, but I like to add either a little bit of wine or red wine vinegar. Okay, red wine vinegar, just so it can pick up a little bit of that. Okay, it adds a little extra flavor to it. And now I'm gonna go ahead and here comes the onions. First the onions, okay. Ooh, I can smell the mixture of the beef and the red wine vinegar, and then the onions. Ooh. So now that the onions have softened, but it can stay a little bit longer, I'm going to add the celery. Okay. Now in this one, I don't use garlic. So now the flavors are starting to pick up. All the stuff that was sort of burned at the bottom, it's picking up and it's adding itself to the onions, to the celery. Okay, and the onions keep getting a little bit more cooked. So now I'm gonna add the carrots. Now you can dice the carrots a little bit better than I did. You know, but again, I was in a bit of a hurry. Okay. Notice I haven't added anything. I may add a little bit of salt. Okay, but if you're gonna add salt, just be careful. We tend to use this. Actually, we use Maggi, or I'm sure you're familiar with it. So if we're gonna use this, which I'm gonna use 2 of them. Okay, later on. You gotta be careful with the salt because these are again full of salt, so you don't want to over salt. So I'm gonna let the onion, the carrots, the celery marinate for another 3-4 minutes. I'm gonna add the meat back, another 3-4 minutes for the carrots to get more flavoring, for the celery, for the onions, and then I'm gonna add water, just plain water, and then that's it. Okay, so add the water, let the water pick up its flavor, and in about 30 to 40 minutes, once it's boiling, then I go ahead and add, you know, that. You can also get the powder one. I think I have this one as well. Okay, so one of those two. Okay, and I start adding my vegetables. When do I add them? The softer vegetables go last. So for example, this one is going to be one of the last ones. So this one's last, along with the cabbage. I love cabbage. Now I don't have potatoes because nobody here eats potatoes from the soup. So instead, I have whiskey squash, which is this one. So I'm gonna add this one and cut the corn in about 3s or 4s. Add that, add the zucchini, squash, and then just let it go. Maybe come back, taste a little bit, add this. This should be ready in about an hour. If you really want that flavor to pick up, you're gonna give it another 20 to 30 minutes. Maybe that, not that long. But here, okay, I'm waiting for the carrots to soften a little bit, okay? You don't want to add more oil, okay? And you don't want to have any overpowering smells, because that will tell you something. Right now, I could smell a little bit more of the celery, which I'm not a huge fan of that. So I'm gonna cook it a little bit more and add the meat. Okay, so this is ready to receive the water. Okay. Okay, I can still smell the celery a little too strong. Okay. Perhaps I should have put, instead of 3 stalks, maybe just 2, but that's okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the water. So everything, the meat, I put it back, carrots, everything. So now the water, if you see little pieces of stuff in the water, that's celery, because I use the same cup where I cut the celery. So here we go. Okay. And now I'm gonna add probably another. Okay. So you can see, probably fill it not to the top, obviously, because I'm gonna be adding stuff, although it's gonna simmer. But this is what you want. You want that color, that brownish color, maybe a little mustardy color. Okay, so we're back. The soup is, boiling, simmering. It's looking good. Since I'm making rice, I usually like to add the same water from the soup to the rice as I cook the rice. But because I don't want to overwhelm with that same flavor, I'm only going to use 1 cup. Now I'm adding 2 cups of rice, and usually the way I do it in these pots, and each pot is different, I usually do 1 per 1. Sometimes it's 2 to 1. I actually do about 2 cups of rice and 2 cups of water, actually a little bit more. Okay, so that should do it. A little bit more. Okay, so this is the water I'm going to use for the soup. For the rice. So I just put it aside, and I'm going to add my veggies. So I'm going to add my corn. I like corn here. And I'm going to use the whiskey, like this whipoli or squash. Okay. And then at the end, I'm going to add the squash, the zucchini here, calabaza in Spanish, and also I'll be adding I'm forgetting the names, repollo, or not coleslaw. You make coleslaw out of repollo. Oh my God, I forgot the name. That's what happens when you turn 25 for the second time. So I'm gonna add about half of this, and I'm gonna start making the rice. I gotta add this to add a little bit of flavoring, and then let it simmer for another 30 minutes or so. So here we go. Okay. And then I'll start making the rice. Now this is sort of a white rice. Okay, so I'll get the ingredients ready, and I'll bring you back so you can see how I do the rice. Smelling good. Okay, so here we have it. Okay, let's take a look at the rice. Looks good. So this is the way we do it. Okay. A little bit of rice. A little too much, and I added cilantro and cabbage. So here we go. Okay. Oh, I burn myself. of cabbage. And there you go. That's Caldo De Res. And a little bit of lemon to it right here. And then also, of course, avocado. If you're like me, you're gonna turn this soup into a green soup because of the avocado. Hopefully you enjoyed it, you liked it, and you're gonna try it at home. As you can see, on the pot I have plenty. So when you make a pot this big, you're feeding 8, 9 people, 10 people. Now, tomorrow, I'm gonna give up about half of this, maybe more, and then I'm gonna have a lot of rice. Why did I make extra rice? Because I'm gonna turn this rice into fried rice, Chinese fried rice. Maybe I'll show you how to do that. But again, rice and maybe add a little bit of the meat, a little bit to it. And now we have 4 meals out of the same meat. Okay, again, if you have not subscribed, please do so. If you wanna make a comment, go ahead. And if you wanna share this, by all means do it. Thank you, stay safe.